Welcome back to the IB Business Management series, guys. Today, we're diving into Unit 2, Human Resource Management, and continue with 2.2, Organizational Structure. In the previous video, we focused on how people are managed and motivated. Now we are going to look at how these people are actually organized inside the business. So it's organizational structure. Let's get started. Start with delegation. What is delegation? Delegation is passing responsibility down to subordinates. It can be any task to successfully complete it. However, the overall responsibility lies on manager. Delegation is way to make accountable for the actions of the workers. Moreover, it can work as a motivational tool where it opens up new talents, skill, and potential. Now let's look at the important idea in organizational structure, the span of control. Span of control is number of people who are accountable to a manager. Wide span means that the manager has a lot of subordinates, where a narrow span tells us fewer workers. The advantages of narrow span of control are close communication and high control of the business. In order to effectively manage the wide span control, the business needs strong leader. Furthermore, wide span makes the organization flatter, while narrow makes it taller. With wide span of control, the business needs more managers, which can increase the costs of production. Moving to hierarchy, it can divide each person within the organization and distribute the roles and responsibilities. Level of hierarchy is a management structure where it has a number of layers of authority. A vertical line of authority is called chain of command. It describes how the decisions are passed down to the hierarchical layers. Bureaucracy refers to organizational system that rely on formal rules, procedures, and paperwork, which usually with many levels of hierarchy. It can bring consistency and control, but often slows decision making and reduces flexibility. In a centralized organization, decision making power is concentrated at the top, so the role of senior executives becomes more important, while lower level staff mainly follow instructions. Centralization is when most decision-making authority is kept at the top levels of management or at the head office. Senior managers make the key decisions and lower levels mainly follow instructions. However, decentralization is when decision-making authority is delegated down the organizational hierarchy to regional offices, departments, or teams. This can improve motivation and responsiveness because people closer to customers help make decisions. Whether a business chooses a more centralized or a more decentralized structure depends on several factors, such as corporate culture, the size of the organization, and the type of decisions that need to be made, for example. Long-term strategic decisions or routine operational one. Delayering is the process of removing one or more levels of hierarchy to make the organizational structure flatter. It can reduce costs and speed up communication, but remaining managers may have a wider span of control and more pressure. As more firms adopt flexible working practices such as remote work, part-time contracts, and project teams, they often find that they no longer need very rigid, traditional hierarchies. A matrix structure is an organizational design where employees report to more than one manager. For example, both a functional manager and a project manager. It creates cross-functional teams and can improve flexibility and collaboration, but may cause role confusion and conflict between managers. There are several common types of organizational charts that show how people are grouped and who reports to whom. A flat structure has few levels of hierarchy and generally a wide span of control. Communication tends to be faster and employees may enjoy more autonomy, but managers can become overstretched and promotion opportunities are fewer. For example, a small technology startup with one founder and 10 employees often uses a flat structure where almost everyone reports directly to the founder, and communication is very informal. A tall structure has many levels of hierarchy and usually a narrow span of control. It allows closer supervision and more promotion opportunities. But communication is slower and the organization can become bureaucratic. A good example of a tall structure is a large government department or a traditional bank, where there's a clear chain of command from junior clerks up to senior managers and the director. Beside the height of the hierarchy, organizations also differ in how they group their employees. The three most common ways are by product, business, and geographic region. Organization by product groups staff and activities based on the specific goods or services the business produces. Each product division operates like a mini business with its own management responsible for performance of that product line. For instance, a company like Coca-Cola can have separate divisions for soft drinks, bottled water, and juices, each with its own marketing, finance, and operations teams. Organization by function groups employees according to their business rules, such as marketing, finance, operations, and human resources. Each functional department is led by a specialist manager and supports the whole organization. For example, a typical manufacturing business might be organized into functional departments such as human resources, finance, marketing, and production, where each led by a specialist manager. Organization by region structures the business around different geographic areas. For example, Europe, Asia, or individual states. Regional directors are responsible for operations and performance in their territory, allowing the firm to respond to local market conditions. A global fast food chain like McDonald's can be organized by region with separate divisions for North America, Europe, Asia Pacific, and so on, where each responsible for its local performance. In reality, organizational structures are not fixed. As internal and external conditions change, firms often redesign their structures to become more flexible and adaptable. Two modern examples of this are project-based organizations and Handy's shamrock organization. Unlike matrix structures, which can sometimes become a permanent way of organizing people, a project-based organization arranges human resources around temporary project teams instead of permanent departments. Specialists from different functions are brought together to work on a particular project, such as a new product launch or a construction job, and disband when the project ends. Another influential idea about modern workplaces comes from the Irish scholar Charles Handy. His shamrock organization compares to a business to a three-leaf clover. Shamrock organization is a flexible structure with three leaves: a professional core full-time essential staff, a contingent workforce of part-time or temporary workers, and outsourced vendors who provide specialist services on contract. This model emphasizes outsourcing non-core activities and using flexible labor to adapt to changing business conditions. The professional core is made up of full-time, experienced employees who are essential for the day-to-day running and long-term survival of the business. Thanks to technology and delayering, many firms now keep this core relatively small instead of hiring large numbers of permanent staff. The contingent workforce includes peripheral workers such as temporary staff, part-timers, and freelancers who are hired for short periods of specific tasks. It gives the firm flexibility, but it can also create job insecurity and lower morale for these workers. Outsourced vendors are external individuals who firms hire on a contract basis to carry out specialist tasks, such as running an advertising campaign or providing IT support. They are experts in the field and can be more expensive, and this group also includes many workers in the modern gig economy. This is the end of 2.2 organizational structure. Thank you for watching. Subscribe and stay tuned. And by the way, if this video helped you understand IB Business Management topic 2.2, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next parts. Thanks you for watching and see you in the next lesson. Bye bye.